Discover the untold story of Lawrence Lual Malong Jr., the mysterious billionaire from South Sudan who made his fortune in a place where even finding food is a challenge. In this video, we'll be discussing the life and accomplishments of Lawrence Lual Malong Jr., who's known for being the richest man in an area where ordinary people can't even afford food. We will explore his background, his business successes, and how he's used his wealth to help those in need. Join us as we discover the remarkable story of Lawrence Lual Malong Jr. Let's take a closer look at his story. Lawrence Lual Malong Jr. is the wealthiest man in South Sudan, one of the poorest countries on earth. He has a net worth of approximately $2 billion, according to Forbes magazine. His wealth comes from investments in oil and mining companies, as well as property holdings across Africa. Yet while his immense wealth puts him ahead of the rest of South Sudan's citizens, it also raises questions about how he was able to amass such a fortune in one of the world's poorest countries. Was it done through legal means, or did he engage in corruption along the way? This video will explore this question and more as we take an in-depth look into Lawrence Lual Malong Jr.'s life story and his incredible wealth. The question of how Lawrence Lual Malong Jr. accumulated his fortune is a difficult one to answer. He's had success in the oil and mining business, with investments in companies throughout Africa, but there are allegations that he used his connections in government and enforcement to get ahead. It is possible that he may have been involved in some shady business practices in order to gain access to lucrative contracts, something other businessmen in South Sudan have done as well. However, no conclusive evidence has yet surfaced linking him to any wrongdoing. Despite this, it's clear that his wealth does come from a questionable source, which could explain why he stays relatively out of public view. South Sudan is the world's youngest nation and one of its poorest countries. Despite abundant natural resources, South Sudan has been suffering from deep economic insecurity since its independence in 2011. The country faces numerous challenges such as weak infrastructure, a lack of access to basic services, and high unemployment rates. In addition, instability caused by civil conflict continues to impede economic growth. Many people living in South Sudan are unable to find employment or earn an adequate income for their families due to limited job opportunities. This has left many in extreme poverty, with little hope for improvement in their standard of living. Lawrence, the richest man in the poorest country, has accumulated his tremendous wealth through a series of questionable business deals and investments. Though it's unclear exactly how he accumulated such vast wealth while the country remains mired in poverty, there are some clues to suggest that Lawrence may have used corrupt means to amass his fortune. It's possible that he used insider information or bribed government officials to secure lucrative contracts or advantageous land deals. Despite these allegations, Lawrence's wealth continues to grow at an alarming rate, leaving many of his fellow citizens with nothing but despair and indignation. Lambert Lawrence has amassed an incredible amount of wealth, but his story isn't inspiring or uplifting. Instead, he's used bribery, corruption, and other illegal activities to obtain his riches. Lawrence's wealth was started through large-scale bribery and kickbacks given by government officials. These bribes allowed him access to contracts that he wouldn't have been able to secure on his own merits alone. In addition, Lawrence has taken advantage of shady business deals with foreign companies, which paid off handsomely for him. Furthermore, Lawrence has been accused of using fraud and money laundering in order to hide the true source of his income from authorities and keep it away from taxes. It's believed that he's used the money to finance his own business and investments rather than contribute to the country's economy. The fact that Lawrence has achieved such a high level of wealth while living in a poor country is a testament to his ability to manipulate systems, bribe officials, and engage in other illegal activities. His riches have come at a great cost to many people, and it serves as an example of what can happen when greed overpowers morality. Lawrence's actions have had a massively detrimental effect on the citizens of South Sudan. His practices of bribery, corruption, and taking advantage of the nation's weak laws have allowed him to amass an immense fortune while preventing resources from reaching those who need them the most. This has caused extreme poverty among ordinary citizens, limited access to healthcare and education, and hindered economic growth in the country. Furthermore, Lawrence's wealth has also led to increased social tensions as other powerful individuals seek to gain control of his wealth and resources. The lack of security created by this power struggle has further damaged the economy and put even more strain on ordinary citizens who are struggling just to survive. All in all, Lawrence's unfair means of accumulating wealth have had a negative effect on the South Sudanese population and have kept them in a cycle of poverty. The only way to break this cycle is for a fair and just system of resource distribution to be put in place so that all citizens can benefit from the country's wealth. Only then will we see true prosperity in South Sudan. Despite his nation being plagued by poverty and famine, Lawrence used social media to flaunt his wealth and lavish lifestyle, showing off properties he owned around the world. His countrymen were starving while he rolled around in luxury cars, wore designer clothes and expensive jewelry, and stayed at 5-star resorts. Lawrence had become one of the wealthiest people in the world due to shady business dealings and corrupt practices. He used his money to buy influence with politicians and bureaucrats, allowing him to further enrich himself whilst leaving those around him struggling for survival. He avoided paying taxes on much of his income, instead using it to purchase more property abroad or fund luxurious trips for himself and his family. The trial of Lawrence Lual Malong Jr, better known as Young Tycoon in the Ugandan High Court Anti-Corruption Division, was a highly publicized event. Lawrence was charged with obtaining over $1 million by false pretenses, conspiring to defraud 2 Ethiopian nationals, and uttering false documents. The prosecution presented evidence that Lawrence had duped Wagnu Desi and Abebe, both from Ethiopia and working in South Africa, into investing in the gold business. He introduced them to Congolese representatives and other Ugandan counterparts before organising a series of transactions across Dubai, Nairobi, Hong Kong, Brussels, and Zambia. After realising they'd been deceived, Wagnu and Abebe reported the case in Nairobi before doing so in Uganda. Lawrence was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for obtaining money by false pretenses, 2 years for conspiracy to commit a felony, and 1 year for uttering false documents. The sentences are to run concurrently, with an additional compensation order of $1,092,000 also issued. Despite being acquitted of money laundering and 2 counts of uttering false documents, the court ruling served as a reminder that no crime goes unpunished. The prosecution team was praised for their work on this case. This trial serves as an example of how no matter how powerful or influential someone may be, criminal activities will still be punished accordingly. It's a reminder that the rule of law should be respected and upheld. Lawrence Lual Malong Jr's case is a stark reminder of the vast inequalities that exist in South Sudan and other countries around the world. The unjust wealth amassed by someone like him, as well as his extravagant lifestyle, serve as a contrast to the extreme poverty endured by most people living there. It's such a contrast between those with immense privilege and those without, that it challenges us to strive for greater economic justice globally. In order for this to be achieved, it will require the action of both nations and individuals alike to promote greater equality of opportunity and resources so that no person has to suffer from extreme poverty or exploitation. Only then can true progress be made. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on trending topics like this one, and thanks for watching.